Welcome back to this lecture on valid and reliability of research. Today, I talk about these concepts of research, which are difficult to understand and people often get them mixed up. However, if you pay attention to the analogy in daily life and make an application to the research world, I think you should be able to differentiate between these two. What they are, why is it important to have validity and reliability, and more importantly, how to ensure validity and reliability in a study. Validity, which is real Sarawak laksa. For those who are familiar with this special dish that comes from my state, Sarawak, you will know that the answer is B, because it's got prawns, it's got shredded chicken, it has tauge and other stuff. The ingredients that are essential for it to be considered real Sarawak laksa. And the one that is shown in A is kari mee, which some people might think is laksa. Let's have another example from daily life. When we make photocopies of our documents, we may take them to somebody to certify them. So when I certify certain copies as true copy, it means that I validate that this photocopy is true and real, and there is no change of information inside there. So in a study, who can certify that the study is valid or that the instrument is valid, and how does this person do it? A valid research studies what it is supposed to study. You cannot claim to study A and then you end up studying B. And a valid instrument must measure what it is supposed to measure. You cannot have an instrument such as questionnaire or interview about A. You say it is about A, but later when you look at the questions, it is about B. So when we talk about validity, it is at the level of the whole study and then about the instrument. There are two things here that we have to look after when we talk about validity. Question I pose to you here. Is this a valid instrument for the study? The aim of the study is to analyze the persuasion strategies used by a salesperson to get customers to buy expensive chocolates. The instrument or the analysis framework that is used to guide analysis of the buying, selling transcript is about types of grammatical errors. Well, immediately you know that these two things are different, so it is not a valid instrument. But because this is so obviously different, you can make the judgment right away. Very often, it is more subtle, and that's when some validity problems happen and the researchers are not aware of it. Let's look at the first level of validity about the valid study. For the study to be valid, we have to make sure the instrument follows the aim and objectives of the study. That's why it goes back to talking about the questionnaire or the instrument. So it is best if your questionnaire or other instruments is underpinned by a theory, so that it guides us on what data to collect, how to analyze it, and later how to explain the results. The theory guides us. If we don't have a theory, we come in with our own understanding of the phenomenon. Well, do we read enough? Do we understand enough of that phenomenon to be able to just go in and use our knowledge to collect the data and later to analyze it? For me, I won't have that confidence because there is so much that is studied about something or anything. Therefore, it is important to keep ourselves informed of theories in the field so that we can use it. Later, we may make modifications, but let's not talk about that. Let's just talk about making sure that we have selected a suitable theory for what we are studying. So if we have selected a suitable theory, what do we do? Number one, explain the theory in the theoretical framework of the study. And this section appears in chapter 2 of a thesis or before the method section in a journal paper. After we have explained it, the next part, number 2, is to explain what the constructs or variables are in the theory. A theory consists of components and shows relationship among the components. Those components need to be explained. And if need be, number 3, give the operational definition of the components, or constructs or variables based on that theory. Even one particular theory could have different operational definitions because many researchers have used the theory and may make certain modifications along the way. So although those components are still the same, they could be defined operationally in different ways by different researchers. So use operational definitions that are suited to the theory and announce it whose definitions are you taking them from. And number 4, now design the instrument based on the theory. And much later, after we have collected the data and analyzed them, we interpret and discuss the results based on the theory. We do not pick a theory and then say goodbye to it. It guides us from the beginning to the end. So a valid research studies what it is supposed to study. Let me ask you this question. Suppose Dr. Fauci wants to study whether people who eat fruits have better skin after 1 month. Which is necessary for the study to be valid? A, measure the body weight of the people in the 2 groups after 30 days. B, make sure the experimental group really eats the fruits for 30 days and the control group eats their normal food. C, choose 2 groups of people, group 1 with good skin and group 2 with problematic skin, and give group 2 fruits to eat. The answer is B. The experimental group must follow the regimen set out for them in the treatment for the study, that is to eat the fruits for 30 days, and the control group live life like normal. This is important to ensure that the study is valid and it can really study the effect of eating fruits on skin condition. A is not the answer because it is just measuring. Yes, you need to measure the body weight, but this is not about body weight. We are talking about better skin. So it is off. And now this is where it is not so obvious when people could just look at the fact that there is a post-test or the fact that there is a pre and post-test and think that, oh, this is what makes the study valid. But look at it. The variable here is better skin. It's not body weight. And C, if you take this option, you are guaranteed to have a not valid study because your participants in the 2 groups are different already. Next one. We're focusing on the valid instrument. I'm moving from valid study to the valid instrument now. A valid instrument must measure what it is supposed to measure. Question, which is a valid questionnaire to measure students' motivation in learning French? A, intrinsic and extrinsic motivation scale. B, French questionnaire on job satisfaction. C, visual, auditory, kinesthetic learning style. The answer is A, because it's about motivation, the 2 types of motivation. Don't be misled by B, which has the word French, and C is totally off and not valid. It's measuring something else. So here we want to measure motivation and we use this motivation scale. Now I move on to the 3rd and last part of the lecture, which is teaching you next how to ensure that your study has internal and external validity. But first of all, I need to explain to you the differences among these 2. Internal validity, we are talking about accuracy within our own study. Remember the examples I gave you just now, which is real Sarawak Laksa and which is the real or certified or validated document. So it's about the document, whether it's accurate or not. So internal validity within our own study, are we collecting data that are accurate to the purpose of our study? External validity, we are talking about accuracy outside our study. Okay, let me go further on what internal validity means. It means that you are confident that the change in the dependent variable, better skin, is caused by the independent variable, treatment, eating more fruits. This is in the context of experimental design. your results are accurate. External validity. You are confident that the results can be generalized to other groups. It means that the results accurately describe the effects of eating fruits on skin condition for other groups if other people also carry out the same study as you. Now, for external validity to happen, there must first of all be internal validity. You must control your experimental conditions and make sure that the experimental group really takes the fruits for 30 days and the control group lives life like normal. And you can give them a pre-test and post-test of the skin condition. So if you have made sure that your study itself is valid, when other people repeat the study elsewhere, they are likely to get similar results. So once you have internal validity, you will have external validity, provided your respondents are not so different from the population. How now? Okay, internal validity. What do you do about internal validity? I have kept stressing the first one, treatment is done correctly. Now I want to move on to the second one. Beware of unknown or error variance that affects the dependent variable, that is the skin condition in this case. Example, errors like this, some people already have good skin, or some people are sensitized to the experiment. The control group knew of the experiment and they also started taking fruits. All situational variables could cause error variance. Some people go through a lot of stress on the day their skin condition is measured, so it affects the results. It could be experimental bias. I am doing the experiment, I'm choosing the part of the skin to measure the skin condition. Maybe for the experimental group, I choose the part of the skin that is nice. And for the control group, I choose the part that has pimples. So this is experimental bias and should not happen. But all this can create error variance. And after that, we don't know whether the results are really because of the treatment or eating fruits or not. Also beware of secondary variance. And this is the kind of thing that changes together with the independent variable. It happens at the same time of those 30 days where the participants are asked to eat fruits. So some of the secondary variants are maturation. It may not apply here in the case of the skin condition, because skin conditions don't change so fast. But if we are talking about teaching methods and learning of certain skills in one semester, in 1 year, naturally students get better. So it may not be due to the experimental treatment, but not applicable, I guess, in the case of eating fruits and skin condition. But co-occurring events could be a secondary variance in this example. At the time that the experiment was carried out, it could be semester holidays, and the students stay indoors and eat mom's healthier food compared to outside food, which is saltier and oily. So this could affect the skin condition. And researcher may not realize this is happening because it happens at the same time of the experiment. Okay, so to make sure that the study has internal validity, the researcher need to think of the experiment, the people involved, and then watch out for some of these variants that may affect the results. And after that, we cannot be confident in saying that A causes B, eating fruits causes better skin condition. Next, external validity. This is accuracy of the results outside of our study. We are confident that the results can be generalized to other groups. Even though we don't do the study, when other people do the study, they will come to similar results. But when we do the study, if we have made sure there is internal validity, we can say this is applicable to other groups. How do we make sure of that? Get a large sample size that meet the selection criteria. Then we will have a sample that is more representative of the population. And best to use random sampling. And when I say random, it truly means the research meaning of the word. There is either simple random sampling or systematic sampling to equalize differences among participants in the study, in the sample. This is very important to make sure there is no bias sampling. So with that, the sample will be more representative of the population. That is validity. And the keyword to attach it with is accuracy. Validity, accuracy. Now, reliability, consistency. So I come back to this example of Sarawak Laksa. If it is good today, bad tomorrow, this is an unreliable shop and has no reliability. If you look at the scoring given by the 3 judges for a competitor, 10 out of 10 for all 3, is the scoring reliable? Is it consistent? Yes, it is consistent. They all see that this competitor is very good and deserves the top marks. It is consistent, it is reliable. If one of them gives only 3 marks, another one gives 10 marks, oh, that is a problem because one person thinks it's really bad, another one thinks the competitor is good. That is not reliable. 10, 10, 10, this is reliable. Definition, reliability, the instrument is consistent in measuring what it is designed to measure. Question, if I weigh myself and the scale says 50 kilograms, I get down and get up on it again, the scale says 48 kilograms. Within just a matter of minutes, it has changed. Is the scale reliable? Of course not. So your questionnaire, your test, your interview questions must be understood in the same way by the participants. Then you would have a reliable instrument. If today they understand it like this, tomorrow they understand it differently, then it is not reliable, and it is to do with the wording of the items. Your analysis framework is also an instrument if you are doing text analysis, and a reliable analysis framework means it is used in the same way when you analyze text number 1 to text 100. So it has to have certain details and descriptions that can guide the researcher so that they stick to a certain way of analyzing the text throughout the whole analysis. So when we talk about instrument being reliable, it means that it gives consistent readings or analysis. Reliability also has the concept of internal reliability and external reliability. Internal, consistency within our study, external, outside of our study. This is much simpler to understand compared to validity. So internal reliability means you can replicate or repeat your procedures and results. How? Later. And external reliability means other researchers can replicate or repeat our procedures and results. Here, procedures refer to everything in the method, the participant or text selection, the instrument, the data collection procedures, the data analysis procedures, everything, because it all affects the results. It is not just one part of it. So how? Internal reliability, how do you make sure we ourselves can replicate our procedures and results? Well, make sure the instruments are reliable in the first place. You know that for questionnaires, you cannot use words that are too technical. You cannot have double-barrel items. Like, do you like A and B? You know, these are just some of the rules that you need to follow to make sure your questionnaire items are interpreted or understood in the same way. There are many other rules on it, and you can find out about that. Now, external reliability. How do you make sure other researchers can replicate your study in the same way? Well, they don't know what we do. The way we announce our study to the world is to describe in detail. So when there are details, they can follow the details. And when they follow the details, they will do the study in the same way as us. Be transparent, do not be secretive. More details on ensuring consistency in the internal reliability questionnaire. Make sure the items are worded so that they are easily understood and interpreted in one way. Interview, make sure you ask the interview questions in the same way. This is important, it's different from questionnaire because we don't change the item by interview. Make sure you ask in the same way. Text analysis, make sure you follow the analysis framework and then use it in the same way. Of course, you have to describe clearly first, because if it's unclear, you start to analyze differently as you go along. External reliability, how do you conduct the study? In the same way. It means providing all the details so that others can follow. Research design, what is it? And justify why you select it. Participant selection, who qualifies to be in the study and stick to it. Instrument, what's inside the instrument? How to use it? Data collection procedures, how were the data collected? The steps. And the same goes for analysis, the steps, so that others can analyze in the same way as us. So this is about providing detail so that others can replicate our study, and therefore our study procedures will have external reliability. To recap, this is what I have put together into one slide so that you can see the differences between internal and external validity, internal and external reliability. This internal is within our own study, external is outside. Now, on the validity, like I said, the keyword is accuracy. Are our results accurate and due to the treatment in this case? Internal reliability, do we make sure that our instruments are reliable in the first place? Once the internal part is settled, there is more likely to have external validity and reliability. Now, if you look at this example here, it's not an example, it is a quiz using these 4 pictures here. Which one shows reliable, not valid, and so on? Number 1, a cook who makes good quality Sarawak laksa all the time. Good quality means valid, real thing. All the time means reliable. So it is the 4th one. Both reliable and valid, it hits the middle, the bull's eye all the time. Very accurate aim and very reliable. Each time it hits the bull's eye. Number 2, a cook who prepares something recognizable as Sarawak laksa. Recognizable means, okay, you know, look like it, may be valid, but the quality is different every day. Looks like it, so consider valid. But quality is different every day means not reliable. So look like it. That means the dots will all be together, but may not be in the center. So you can see that it is the first picture. Reliable, but not valid. Quality is different every day. Quality is different every day. Sorry, this is wrong. Cook who prepares something recognizable. Yeah. Quality is different every day, not reliable. Sorry, it's the one in number 2. Recognizable is still hit within that circle, so it is recognizable as Sarawak laksa. But quality is different every day means it's spread all over. Okay, yeah, not reliable, the second one. The third one, a cook who prepares something recognizable as Sarawak laksa in the same way every day, but he does not add prawns and coriander. Okay, same way every day, very reliable. The dots are all together. Okay, the dots are all together. But he does not add prawns and coriander, so it's off the center already. It's not so authentic, but okay, the other ingredients are like Sarawak laksa. So this is the first picture. It is reliable, but concentrated in one corner because certain ingredients are always lacking. And finally, number 4, a cook who makes curry mee, sometimes good, sometimes bad, but he thinks he is preparing Sarawak laksa. So not reliable, not valid, actually hit out of the circle already because people who know what Sarawak laksa is will consider that not valid anymore. And not reliable, one day here, one day there. So I hope then you can understand the concepts of accuracy and reliability, because these concepts are important for a good research. If not, who believes our results? The results may be useless. We can report lots of results, but they're useless because they don't describe the situation people or text studied.